What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Northern Valley. Yes, this series is still alive, and the reason for the massive gap in between episodes, well, there's a couple different things going on, but mainly it was the big City Skylines patch, which then broke a bunch of the mods that we're using. So part of the time was wasted waiting for modders to kind of update their mods. And then the other part of the time was pretty much spent trying to figure out fixes for mods, because some of the modders have abandoned their mods and they just aren't fixing them. So yeah, it took a little while, but we are back. Now this episode isn't going to be a typical time-lapse and then live portion episode. We are just going to be doing a live portion in this, or a live video rather. And the one thing that you're going to notice straight away is, yes, we have the cursor back. So I've been kind of figuring out the recording situation and the software and all that kind of stuff. So we are actually, I think, good to go now. This episode, we're just gonna kind of get reacquainted with the city, reacquainted with the series, and then do a couple things in regards to the mod, or the update, because as you can see, we've actually already had like a forest fire type thing going on. And yeah, so first I want to note that if the city looks different in terms of just like color correction, I tried to get it back to where it was before the patch. Unfortunately, one of the mods that was, I guess, discontinued was the time warp mod, but there was a fixed time warp mod that came out to replace it. It's all very confusing, but really, I didn't use the time warp mod because we don't have the day-night cycle on, but I did use it for one thing, and that was the sun's position in the sky, and I had to go back and get the fixed version of the mod and kind of try to recreate the position that we had in terms of longitude and latitude and all that kind of stuff, and I actually did that by finding in the last video I did, like, a point in time where the shadows on like the trees were kind of in frame, and then I tried to adjust it to kind of get the shadows in pretty much the same spot. So the sun should pretty much be in the same position as it was before the patch. Now the thing that I kind of think might be a little off is just the hue of like the greens and just the brightness of the colors or whatever. Honestly, it's been probably about a month since I've played this save, so I couldn't really remember, but it does for some reason look a little brighter to me, and I don't know if you guys can notice that too, but I guess we're just gonna have to live with what this is now. I think that might have something to do with like the color correction packs or the LUTs, the LUTs that we have going on. So yeah, was there anything else I wanted to mention? Well, you can see the bottom toolbar is completely different now. There was a different mod that I had to install to get the sun to kind of, or not the sun, but the time to kind of, I guess, work correctly. It was just an attempt at me getting everything back together. It's just, there's a lot more information down here now, which is actually really cool. So like you can see all of the electricity and water and all that kind of stuff down here, and the education and that kind of stuff. So this is cool. You can see like the goods that we import versus export, which we are actually exporting one good. One goods. I don't know what the proper grammar there is, but one company in this city is like, somebody ordered something online. Send it to them. This is amazing. But yeah, so there's that. We're gonna have to focus on that later on. What else? Oh, yes. The big thing is that the Steam collection for this series at this point is questionable at best. I'm gonna have to go through and actually clean that out, because like I said, there were some mods that were just, they're no longer existing, so they're probably still in the collection even though I've unsubscribed from them. So that's gonna be a project at one point for me sometime in the future here, because yeah, Steam is not the easiest interface to work with in terms of collections, so there's that. Anything else I wanted to mention before we kind of go in and start doing some stuff? I don't think so. I did actually record a video before the patch, and it was all about public transportation. I actually scrapped that because I was a little under the weather when I was recording it, and it just did not come out great at all. So what we did was actually put a little metro system in here. It's only 3 stops at this point. It's not exactly being used by many people at all. If we go to the stop, which is, I think, one of this building here is actually a modded metro station, which is actually kind of cool. It looks like a building instead of just a hole in the ground, which I am totally okay with. But yeah, as you can see, there's only 6 people here. And then if we go to the main little stop here, there's only a handful of people, and only 50 people used this last week. Now, we do have some buses going on throughout the city, and basically downtown here, just this one, there's gotta be a better way to look at this. Yes, the bus lines here. Yeah, as you can see, we have the one main line here that is bringing people over from Winterfell over here. Now, there are just way too many people over here waiting for a bus to go downtown, so we're gonna have to explore that at some point, probably sooner rather than later. Public transportation isn't exactly my top priority in this series just yet. Now, we do want to build out a little bit more on this main island, and I actually did, when I was going through and fixing the mods and getting the save back intact, I started to kind of just build this little area down here, and it's nothing special. I think I recorded it just to make sure everything worked, but I didn't actually record enough to have a time lapse for this episode. So yeah, this is this. Not much going on here. I did add a couple bridges that are still being, I guess, worked on. Not really utilized just yet. As you can see, most of the traffic is coming down here. I ended up actually switching this little road from Winterfell into the downtown area into a bus taxi lane type road. Now, this is great, except for the one thing that I didn't want to have happen was have a bunch of people using the bus and taxi lane as a turn lane. Now, this is not great. This actually defeats the purpose of a bus taxi lane, because now anybody, like the buses, yeah, they can bypass a lot of this traffic, but they end up getting stuck in traffic over here anyway as people are trying to, you know, turn. Now, I know I can use, what is it, Traffic President or Traffic Manager or Traffic Plus Plus or one of those mods to fix that. Now, I was really worried about like the resources and having my computer deal with that, so I've kind of strayed away from those really CPU intensive mods. So I'm not really sure if I want to do that. It's up in the air at this point. I'm sure we could work around this, and this is actually going to clear up a lot as we start to kind of build this out and have people going to different parts of the little island peninsula over here. So what I'm kind of thinking we do at some point is get like a big transportation hub, maybe out here or something. Basically, we're gonna have some train stations connected to the outside lines that will then drop passengers off over here. And then we'll hook the metro system up to here, which is gonna be really good for us, and maybe even have like a bus hub over here to have a bunch of lines go downtown and stuff. So people in the suburbs will be able to just kind of work down through here and just kind of park here at like a park and go kind of thing, and have either like a metro or maybe a tram system kind of take them down to here. And the tram system is one thing that we haven't done yet, and I think I really want to do that. So I'm gonna be trying to figure out a creative way to work trams into here, and I'm not sure. Maybe we do like an underground kind of tram or like a sunken tram, which would be really cool. Also, there's a really good mod out right now called MOM. It's the Metro Overhaul mod, I think is what it's officially called, but it overhauls the metro system completely. So these metro cars, as they stand in the game, in the vanilla game, are always underground. Now, the MOM mod, is that redundant? Is that like saying ATM machine? But anyway, the MOM mod now allows you to have above ground metros and elevated metro trains, which is really cool. I'm thinking of maybe even getting that for this series. So yeah, look forward to that. Also, I never really addressed this, but I put a bridge down over here, and we're gonna be using this at some point in a future build when we get the highway kind of lined up throughout here. and I say future, this may or may not be in just the next episode coming up with, we are going back to the time-lapse and live portion formula that we've been using thus far, but this is just kind of an oddball episode, just because I really just want to get reacquainted with this game and this series. So if you don't like this kind of thing, it's okay. Just skip on to the next one. That's fine. But all right, what are we doing right now to kind of end this episode off? I don't really know how long this is going to take, but I want to give a huge thanks to the guys at Paradox, because they've been supplying me with the DLC codes and allowing me to then use them in this series, and it is really awesome. I love those guys over there. They are really great people, and it just makes me want to support them even more. But yeah, we've gotten the the natural disaster stuff now. So I've actually turned off natural disasters for this series right now. Now, we may have just some fun at some point, and just maybe at a later date throw some natural disasters on and see what happens to the city in case of a huge, like, meteor strike or something. But for now, just because we're designing a city more than trying to, like, play like a let's play type thing, I've turned those off just because I didn't want any random stuff throwing off the save or whatever. But as you could see, forest fires are still a thing, and the one bigger thing in the DLC is that fires spread from building to building now, so we're gonna have to make sure that our fire coverage is optimal, and at the moment, it's really not, so we're gonna have to do that. But before we do that, I do want to replace the Firewatch props, or the Firewatch tower props that we have from just the mods, which are these. We're gonna be replacing these, which is kind of a shame for whoever modded these, which I have to give mad props to those guys, pun intended. But it was such a perfect, I guess, mod to put into this area. It just tied this whole thing together. And now we've got an official one that actually has a function, so we're gonna actually be replacing those. So these don't actually have to be on a road, which is actually kind of nice. So those roads are a little obsolete now. But as you can see, they have a nice diameter, and they will now allow us to kind of just plop these down and I guess just make sure we have a nice coverage for, like, fire protection in the woods. Because if like one person, like, discards a cigarette somewhere around here or something like that, this whole place is just gonna go up in flames, and we do not want that at all. So this is actually a really good thing to be placing down, and of course it's gonna actually give some jobs out to some people, in theory. You know what? Do people actually go in here? I don't think anybody has to travel to these, but you know, for roleplay purposes, we're gonna have now a force of Firewatch kind of people, and they're gonna be watching over our city. So I'm just gonna place the rest of these down just throughout this area, just to kind of give this a little bit of protection. I just really don't want to see this place go up in flames. Not on my watch, damn it. Alright, so I've placed a bunch of these down now in the really dense forest areas. Now, what's kind of interesting is that this actually kind of looks like it's taking into account the terrain. Like, over here, it's got a very poor visibility, I guess, and that's probably because that area is just kind of sunken down, and there's no tower in immediate access to it that can actually see it, which is actually a really, really interesting little mechanic. But, okay, so we've got that pretty much covered. Now, the fire towers are great, and we'll have people there watching for fires, but who are they gonna call? Not Ghostbusters, no. They have now this huge fire helicopter depot that we have to place down somewhere. Now, I don't really want to place it in the park itself, so I'm kind of thinking we'll place it in this small area of, what is Evergreen Park? Is this technically still Evergreen Park? Yeah. Evergreen Park will be the helicopter depot, And we're gonna place this down over here somewhere. So we're just gonna have to make a road for it and just a little area. Now, I'm not actually gonna go in and like detail this at all right now. We'll probably start next episode out with that kind of stuff. But just for right now, I wanna go ahead and plop this down just so we can, I guess, see how it looks and see any of the helicopters that come out. Now, we only get 3 in that, but these things should be fairly powerful. But I am wondering if we can, I guess, go into like our budget and maybe improve the budget for fire safety to like, I don't know, 130, and just see if that helps at all with how many vehicles we can have in the helicopter depot. And yes, we actually have 4. And there goes one right now, so this is interesting. Let's actually follow him. Yeah, where are we going, Mr. Helicopter? Oh, this is really cool. He's actually got to go get water first. That is awesome. And luckily we built this right here because there's a really huge river right next to it. So actually this, I didn't know this, but this was just a fluke. I actually planned this really well, just by happenstance. Now, it appears as though our helicopter is flying through a mountain, so we have like a subterranean helicopter. This is gonna really break the roleplay of the city. I don't know what's going on, but it is going to this, what looks to be a tree on fire, so let's go ahead and speed it up and get to it and watch this thing in action. So I guess it's just gonna hover over it and drop some water. Yeah, there it goes, look at it. Wow, way to go, putting that one tree out. Luckily, you saved the entire little suburb of Walton Ridge. All right, how do I unpin this? Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's kind of how the helicopter should work from now on. Now, this doesn't actually have power at this point, so I'm just gonna put a power line over here. This will go away eventually, but yeah, so I think, what else do I want to do? We should probably fix the fire department situation around the areas and maybe even get one more fire tower over here. But I think for the most part, that's that. Now, I do want to kind of look at some of this stuff. So, disaster services. We have a disaster response unit. Now, I believe this sends I guess it sends out helicopters and trucks to help clear rubble when things like earthquakes and stuff happen. Now, this will be a great building to go probably downtown, maybe around here. I guess you don't really want a huge, like, depot to be downtown just in case of, like, I guess terror attacks or something. You don't want that to kind of be jeopardized by being in the center of attention. I don't know, that might not be a good philosophy. It might be a good philosophy, I'm not really sure. Now, we have these emergency shelters, which are gonna be kind of interesting to put around the area. And then we have these radio masts. Now, these apparently help broadcast emergency signals out to people so they can evacuate. So these actually have a really huge range. So I'm kind of liking maybe putting these up in the, I guess you would put them on the cliff sides and stuff like this. So yeah, let's just place one here, and it kind of covers that area. And once again, it's using the same mechanic where it can't reach like blind spots. And this actually really just sent a massive happiness wave over a lot of the city, which is great. But we'll kind of, I guess, place a few of these around. And I don't know, I guess they kind of just look like radio towers, like a cell tower or a just actual like FM radio tower. Pretty interesting. Now, we are probably going to need to get them some yeah, electricity, so that's gonna be a bit of a problem. Which, actually, no, maybe not. We'll just kind of place their own little generators by their side, and this should be enough to keep them going. I guess that's fine. It's a little close in my opinion, but we could fix that later. I don't want to go into too much of a like nitpicky thing at this point in this episode because it gets boring when I do that. And trust me, I know I did a whole series kind of like live like this, and it kind of got boring at times. But Anyway, we're gonna place a buoy out here, I guess. I think you just need one of those. I'm not really sure. Let me check. Yeah, it doesn't really say anything, but yeah, I guess you pretty much only need one of those. And then we have the weather radar, which is gonna help us in terms of thunderstorms and tornadoes. Now, I'm not really sure if Northern Valley would be a candidate for things like thunderstorms, but or tornadoes rather. But you know, to be safe, I guess we'll place one of these over here, and it just kind of fits nicely into this area. It looks like it would be in here. Now, I just noticed that a lot of the painted stuff or the surface painter stuff is gone. And the mod is not broken because of the patch. It's always kind of done this, and I don't really know if there's a way around that, but I guess we'll just live with that. I'll go back and actually fix that up later. And yeah, what else do we have? Yeah, I guess you only need one of those, and then this is a deep space radar. Now, I'm gonna place this over here for now. And actually, no, I'm not, because it's actually really big. Now, someone at one point in one of these comments, or one of the comments of this series, had said to make kind of like a secluded science lab in the middle of like a mountain, and that is a really awesome idea. We're gonna actually probably do that around here, and this is gonna be really fun because we could have like an Area 51 type thing up here. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. And we're gonna actually be able to do that because now we have this huge radar system, or radar array. And I'm gonna actually flip this around because I feel like it looks better going off over the bay. So that'll be there. Now this is probably gonna need water and electricity, so we'll get to that later. I'm not sure when we'll get to this actually. I do wanna make that, and we're gonna make a really cool road down here and all that kind of stuff, but right now it's not a huge priority for me. We have a few other things that we need to do in this city before we get to some fun projects like that. And that actually brings me, I guess this will be the wrap up of this kind of episode. We're gonna we're gonna finish the college that we need to place over here. That'll be the next episode, and I'm gonna fill out this kind of Manor Hills area. Now, this is just a district that I plopped down just for now, so it's probably gonna end up going out to like here, and then following this around, and this is gonna be probably some high-rise type stuff. Maybe I'll put high density in, but then limit it so there's no skyscrapers or tall buildings with the policy. That could be kind of nice. Now, you guys can name this in the comments of this video, I guess, if you want, although it doesn't really have an identity yet, so maybe hold off on the name. We'll probably name that in the comments of the next video. But yeah, this is gonna be a wrap for this episode. Now, I know it was live, it was probably a little sporadic, kind of boring at times, but yeah, this is not the norm moving forward. We are gonna go back to the formula that we have been using, like I said. So guys, if you are excited for the series to be back weekly on the channel, leave me a thumbs up. It really helps out the videos. Thumbs down if you aren't, for whatever reason. And yeah, until next time, guys, I'll be kind of back here doing some more building and more detailing and time-lapsey stuff. And until next time, I will see you back here in Northern Valley.